Hello. I've been asked to make this video so that I can tell my story about what's happened to me. I moved to Lanzarote 16 years ago, and I was a businesswoman. I bought my own house. My life is here now. Everything. I worked very hard to get everything that I've got, and then 7 years ago, I fell off my horse, and everything changed. Basically, I ended up with a stroke on the left side, and my family had to fly over. I was in critical care, uh, in trauma for 2 weeks, and basically had to pick my life up and put it back together. Shortly after that, I got involved in domestic violence in a relationship, and was beaten up. This took probably a year to develop PTSD. I didn't, to be honest, I didn't really know what was happening to me, but that's what happened ultimately. I developed PTSD. I wasn't leaving the house, and I wasn't eating. I was struggling, and what happened was that I got a local charity via my doctor approved me for an assistance dog, and I got Dexter, and Dexter was fully trained with them. It took 18 months to train him, more or less, and he was fantastic. We flew with Ryanair. Ryanair accepted him, no problems at all, and then one day it changed. I called Ryanair to book my tickets, and they said no. And I said, why? What's changed? He's flown before. He's not ADI, but he wasn't ADI before. He's trained by a local charity here in Lanzarote. There is no ADI in Lanzarote. The only ADI we have is in mainland Spain, in Barcelona and Madrid, which I'm on an island. How am I supposed to train with an organisation that doesn't train dogs anyway for my condition, and wanted €10,000 to provide me with the dog? I mean, it just wasn't practical. They said that the CAA had changed the safety notices. Well, I didn't know anything about this and started to research it and found out, yes, they had changed the safety notices because ADUK and the Guide Dog Federation had told them that any other dog other than theirs was not safe to fly. We're talking about a dog that had already flown 8 times, and well, 6 times, and had never caused a problem. A dog specifically trained to fly on the inter-island flights here in Lanzarote. So there was a big kerfuffle about it, but in the meanwhile, the safety notice was taken down and changed. But Ryanair refused to change their policies, insisting again ADI or guide dogs. They did actually, and this is a huge joke really, they gave me 2 tickets, well, sold me 2 tickets to go in the August, telling me that I could train to get my ADUK certificate while I was in the UK for 2 weeks. Yeah, laugh, because that is how stupid they are. They don't know that that is impossible. If it was possible, I would have done it. It would be a way around this problem. I would have gone to the UK for the 2 weeks, trained Dexter, and no problems. Of course, I took the 2 tickets, came back, couldn't train with ADUK in 2 weeks, couldn't get a certificate because they don't issue certificates. It was impossible. So I came back, and then they even called me the day I flew and said, "Did you get your certificate?" Honestly, it is beyond a joke. If you don't laugh, you'd cry, and believe me, I've done enough crying. I then got in touch with Monarch. Monarch agreed that he could fly after a lot of paperwork and a lot of hassle and a lot of arguments. They finally decided he could fly, and the day after they went bust. So then I got on to Jet2. Jet2 agreed straight away, no problems. They saw that his paperwork, they saw evidence of him flying, and they agreed he could fly. And he flew another 8 times with Jet2. In March last year, well, February, the end of February last year, Dexter was taken extremely ill with an autoimmune disease, and it took him within 4 days. Within 4 days, I'd lost my life. I'd lost my best friend. I'd lost my wheelchair, in effect. I was nearly sectioned. The Guardia Civil came up. 15 minutes after I called my charity, they were here, and it stopped me being sectioned because they took control. And they sourced another dog for me in Gran Canaria. And we went and collected him on the Wednesday, which was Flynn, and the training started, in-depth training. The first time Flynn went on an aeroplane was at a 10-week-old puppy. And he was a little nervous, as you would expect. By the time he was 5 months old, he'd already flown 5 times, and it didn't bother him. By that time, it was like getting in a car to him. His training was fast tracked through Unican ONG Lanzarote, who are, by the way, on CAA's list of approved organisations. And he was fast tracked. I also backed up his training with a French trainer who is the obedience champion in France 2015. So just slightly qualified. By the time he was 6 months old, he'd flown 7 times. I've got videos of him take off and landing, walking across the tarmac. I've got videos of him taking his public access test. By January this year, he was qualified. He's absolutely fantastic. He tasks for me. He does numerous tasks, more tasks actually than Dexter did. He blocks front and back. Even being a mini dachshund, he blocks people getting close to me. He also brings me my phone if I fall. He stops me self-harming. He reminds me to take my medication. He alerts me before, if my anxiety is getting too high, he will alert me and distract me onto him, and so it never really results in a meltdown. On the occasion I had a meltdown in Arrecife, through access again, anybody with an assistance dog will tell you it's quite distressing. He actually grounds me and brings me back from the panic attack. So he does a lot more, and he's still learning to find my car, things like that. So it's ongoing, but basically his basic training is completed. I contacted Jet2 and asked them, presented exactly the same paperwork as I had for Dexter, but backed it up with the letter from my French trainer, backed it up with videos of him flying, more actually than I had with Dexter. And they said no. No, because I hadn't got ADI. I had accidentally sent the wrong certificate. I sent his training certificate. They said he was still in training. And I said, no, he hasn't. It took about a week to work out that I'd sent the wrong certificate. But by that time, it didn't matter. They'd made their decision, and that was it. Nothing was going to get them to change their mind. They had decided. And to save face, they wouldn't back down. ADI or nothing. Nobody can give me any idea how I can get ADI. It's impossible. They're asking for something that is physically impossible for me to get. That is making it difficult. That is a form of discrimination, making it so difficult I can't get it to fly. It's like asking somebody who's confined to a wheelchair to prove they can run a marathon before they get on the plane. Asking the impossible to exclude me. There is no ADI, there is no affiliated organisation in the Canary Islands. The two in mainland Spain, one is for hearing dogs and the other one is hearing dogs and therapy dogs, and they don't want to know. I've contacted them, they don't even reply to my emails. What they're asking for, I can't get. I am trapped in Lanzarote because of this discrimination, and I can't find anyone to help me. The worst scenario happened over the weekend. My brother was involved in an accident in the floods. He nearly died. He was rescued by the river authorities, and his temperature was so low that he wasn't conscious. They couldn't get a temperature reading for him. He was rushed into hospital. He's still in hospital. And his girlfriend was swept away and she died. They found her body yesterday. And I can't get home. I can't get home to my parents. The only way I could do it is to go via Madrid, take 2 flights via Madrid on Iberia, who might accept it, depending on whether, because it's going into the UK, depending on whether they decide I also need ADI to get into the UK, which obviously I don't need it officially. It's just a mess. My family need me. My parents are 80 and 85, and I cannot get off this island. Maybe I could try and do it on my own. Then I'd have to survive in the UK while I was there without my dog, and I'd have to try and get through all security in the airport. Just organising myself to go would cause me a lot of stress. If you suffer from PTSD, you would understand that everything has to be organised, everything has to be planned in advance to negate any possible triggers that you overplan everything. Even thinking about it sets me off, and I just don't know how, if I can do it. My family need me, and I'm stuck. And I'm stuck because the people who made these meetings that decided that you had to be ADUK or guide dogs, that nobody else in the world can train an assistance dog, not even the French champion, that because they put those things in place, not thinking for 1 minute about people like me, not putting any safeguarding, they put in a stipulation that not everybody can get. If you're going to put a stipulation in, you're going to have a monopoly. You've got to make that monopoly available to everybody, not just the exclusive few. I am stuck in Lanzarote, and I am begging. I am begging for help. I'm begging for people to help me. I've written to Peter Gorbing from ADUK and asked him what safeguards he put in place for people like myself, stuck in Europe, unable to access ADI. And he's not replied. I'm not expecting a reply. But there are no safeguards for people like us. We're just forgotten. We're just pushed to one side. We don't matter. Well, we do matter. We need a resolution to this. We need a resolution now before somebody. I've been suicidal over this. I'm not joking. You don't know how bad it gets when things get so much on top of you. You can't think of any way out. I'm trapped in Lanzarote. I can't see my parents, can't see my family, and I live in dread of anything happening to my parents, and I'm trapped here. I am begging for help. I'm begging for something, some way that I can fulfill the obligations or the requirements of ADI from an island off the coast of Morocco. Tell me how. If you tell me how, I'll do it. But give me that opportunity. Don't exclude me because of somebody's ego and somebody thinking they want this specific monopoly without thinking about everybody else. So please, please help me. I'm begging you. On my behalf, my parents' behalf, my brother's behalf, I'm begging you to help us.